this year, I decided to grow a vegetable garden for the first time, and when it came down to picking out which vegetables I would be growing, the dietitian in me geeked out a little bit, and I decided to plant plenty of leafy greens, which are great from a nutrition perspective, and which can be difficult to find here in the Netherlands in terms of variety. And one of the leafy greens that I planted was kale, which actually happens to be one of the most easy to find ones, but kale can be difficult to find in full leaf versions here where I live, so I decided to plant a lot of kale so that I can use it in some recipes. But then when the kale finally grew in, I realized that I might have been a little bit over enthusiastic as to the amount that I planted. And now I have way more kale than I know what to do with, and definitely more kale than my bunny can handle eating. And since kale is one of those leafy greens that a lot of children struggle learning to love eating, I figured it would be a great opportunity to come up with a few child-friendly recipes that I can share with you. So on the Veggies and More website, you'll find a comprehensive list of a lot of kale recipes that I really love, but in this video, I decided to share 4 with you. The first recipe is one that I've been meaning to make for a while, but simply couldn't find the full kale leaves to do so. And the last time I made this recipe was close to 10 years ago when I still lived in Canada, so it's been a while to say the least. And all I remember is that it didn't quite turn out as tasty nor as crunchy as I would have wanted to, and definitely not as crunchy as the store-bought versions. But luckily this time around it turned out great. To make them, I followed a recipe from plant-based dietitian Alina Petre, and here's what you'll need to make it. 1 bunch of kale, and you can use whichever kale you have on hand or which your supermarket has. In my case, I used curly kale because that's what I have in my garden. And then you'll need 2 teaspoons of tahini, 2 teaspoons of freshly squeezed lemon juice, 1 teaspoon of tamari, or coconut aminos if you prefer, half a teaspoon of maple syrup, and 2.5 to 3 tablespoons of nutritional yeast, as well as a touch of salt. First, I made the dressing by combining all of the wet ingredients together. Now, I'm not a very precise cook, so I wasn't too bothered about the exact quantities, but you do want to make sure that you don't overdo it on these liquid ingredients, because then the kale will take longer to dry in the oven. I then washed the kale, and to do so I simply submerged it in cold water and I whooshed it around a little bit so that any bugs that would have been on it would fall off into the water and off of the leaves. And once washed, the recipe recommends spinning the kale in a salad spinner to make sure that it's really dry. Since I don't have a salad spinner, I shook the leaves over the sink to make sure that most of the water came off, and then I de-stemmed the kale and I rolled it up in this towel that I reserved for my kitchen tasks. And this got them pretty dry. Then I added the kale to a big bowl, topped it with the dressing and mixed it around to make sure that all of the leaves were well coated, and only then I added the nutritional yeast and mixed it again. Once that was done, I transferred the kale to 2 baking sheets. I sprinkled it with a little bit of salt and I baked it at 170 degrees Fahrenheit or 82 degrees Celsius for 60 minutes. Now at this point, the original recipe recommends that you turn your oven off, let the chips sit in the turned off oven for another 30 minutes, and then turning it back on and baking them for another 15 minutes. However, mine ended up perfectly crisp after this first hour of baking, so I just took them out. But you might have to experiment with the time and see what your specific oven may require. You can keep any leftover chips, if you end up having any, in a paper bag or a container with a lid, and they'll likely get a little bit mushy within a day or 2, especially if you live in a humid climate like I do. So if this happens, you can re-crisp them by simply baking them at the same temperature for another 15 to 20 minutes. My daughter loved the kale chips. She was eating them like they were candy, and she definitely knew they were kale because I showed her the leaf that I made them from. But nonetheless, she adored this recipe. So it's definitely one of her go-to recipes to help her eat her leafy greens. The second recipe is a delicious, vibrant green, oh so tasty pesto, which is also incredibly easy to make. To make it, you'll need 2 cloves of garlic, a 1/4 cup of nutritional yeast, half a cup of extra virgin olive oil, half a cup of raw almonds, half a teaspoon of salt, and then about 2 cups of raw kale. And then you might need a little bit of water to thin out the sauce. I realize that's a lot of ingredients to remember, so if you want to check out this recipe in written form, you'll find it on the Veggies and More website. To make it, all you'll need to do is throw in all of the ingredients together in your food processor or blender and give it a go. I strongly suggest that you taste your recipe at this point and adjust the flavors as needed based on what you like. In my case, I added a little bit of extra lemon and then a little bit of nutritional yeast, a touch of salt, and a tiny bit of maple syrup. And I find that that little touch of maple syrup helped counterbalance a little bit of the bitterness that the original recipe had. But of course, if you don't want to use maple syrup, you can use something like dates or raisins. You can use this pesto as a dipping sauce, on pasta, or as I've done here, as a base for homemade pizza. And it keeps in the refrigerator for about a week. week. You can also freeze it in individual servings using ice cube trays for later use in recipes. My daughter absolutely loved this kale pesto, and she ended up licking it off the pizza crust before eating the crust too. The next recipe is the first time that I've attempted to make my own crackers, and the process was actually way simpler and less intimidating than I would have thought. So here's what you need to make this recipe. About 1 cup of kale, 2 garlic cloves, 1 tablespoon of rosemary, half a cup of ground flax, a 1/4 cup of chia seeds, a 1/4 cup of sesame seeds, 1 tablespoon of fresh lemon juice, 1 tablespoon of olive oil, and then a little bit of salt to taste. I started by de-stemming and chopping my kale in small pieces because I don't own a food processor, but if you have a food processor, you can definitely use this to chop up the de-stemmed kale. Then I blended all of the ingredients together. I scooped them out onto a baking sheet, and then I made a ball out of them. I kind of flattened the ball a little bit, and then I placed a second baking sheet on top and rolled this dough out between the 2 baking sheets until it became as thin as possible, making sure that it wouldn't break, and I also tried to keep it as rectangular as possible. And then I scored the crackers, which basically required passing lightly over them with a pizza roller, making sure that I didn't cut them fully, but just scored them. And afterwards, I baked the crackers at 200 degrees Fahrenheit or 93 degrees Celsius for about 45 minutes. After the first 45 minutes, I took them out, flipped them, and baked them again for another 45 minutes or until crisp on both sides. Now, I personally found the scoring a little bit useless, and I think that the next time I'll make it, I'll probably just cut through the crackers after the first 45 minutes of baking, since they'll be still soft enough to be cut fully, and cutting them now would give me cleaner lines than trying to break them up later. My daughter also liked these crackers, although definitely not as much as the kale chips. And now onto the fourth and last recipe, which was definitely another success. These kale muffins did not taste anything like kale, and our whole family enjoyed them. So here's what you'll need for this recipe. 2 cups of flour. I personally use spelt, but you can also use whole wheat or another flour of your choice. 2 teaspoons of ground cinnamon, 2 teaspoons of baking powder, a 1/4 teaspoon of salt, 1 flax egg, which you make with 1 tablespoon of ground flax seeds mixed with 3 tablespoons of water, 3/4 cup of coconut milk, half a cup of melted coconut oil, 1 large banana, half a cup of maple syrup, or if you want to make a version free of added sugars like I did, you can replace the maple syrup with 4 dates, 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract, about 3 cups of kale leaves, and half a cup of unsweetened shredded coconut. To make these muffins, simply mix all of the dry ingredients together except for the shredded coconut, which we'll add later, and then blend all of the wet ingredients together as well and gently mix the two. Now's the time to add the shredded coconut and fold it in. And then simply scoop the batter and place it into a pre-greased or lined muffin tin. Sprinkle it with a little bit of additional shredded coconut on top of each muffin and bake at 350 degrees Fahrenheit, that's about 175 degrees Celsius, for 20 to 25 minutes or until you can insert a toothpick in the middle of the muffin and it comes out clean. Once they're done baking, let them cool for about 15 minutes before enjoying them. These can be stored in an airtight container in the refrigerator for about 5 days, if they last you that long, of course, and you can also freeze them in an airtight freezer bag and they'll keep for about 3 months. Now, my daughter doesn't have any problem eating kale in recipes like smoothies, for example, but she's not a fan of eating kale or other leafy greens on their own, be it raw or cooked. And I suspect this has to do with a combination of the texture and the naturally more bitter taste that leafy greens have. But these recipes definitely take care of both of these factors, and she happily enjoyed the kale under these new forms. So if your child is anything like mine, I hope that they also enjoy these child-friendly kale recipes. And if you have any other tips of how you incorporate kale in your child's meal or snack, please share them down below. I always love hearing from other plant-based parents. I'm sure that people watching this video would appreciate some tips as well. Now, if you liked this video and you found the content useful, please remember to give it a like so it can get recommended to others. And if you'd like for my content to appear in your feed, I also encourage you to subscribe. And with that said, that's it for today. Until next time, ciao ciao!